Alright, welcome back, guys. Friday video. We did we missed Friday. Further complications with
Last
stuff.
week.
Yeah, last week. Further complications with things. We don't anymore. We no longer have the Seregios footage to remake the Seregios video. So we're not doing the Seregios
Heavy
video.
technical difficulties.
Yeah, lots of them. Anyway, so we're going to briefly touch up on Seregios. Highlights are...
Angry fucking pinecone,
He's
dude.
he's an angry pine cone. I mean, he's got a really good move set. He's, you know, he fucks around with the wraths on a daily basis to just ruin their days. And
Despite only having the bleed element to his name, he does really well with what he's got. He's got a good attack pattern.
and to go ahead and quell your curiosity, we placed Seregios in 4th place in S tier. So, Seregios is currently our 4th runner in the S tier. And today we are here to talk about another very special monster, one of a kind truly, Vaal Hazak. So,
Really. Whoa.
what do we say?
Where to start on this motherfucker?
Well, let's start with what is he supposed to be, which is he's supposed to be another kind of one of those final boss challenges. Like, he's part of the gauntlet, where you get to the end of the games and then there's always like a few elder dragons and then the final. He's kind of one of those gauntlet runners. It's him and Kushala and Teostra. Then Nergigante and then I believe.
He's rather unique in both in his environment and in his mechanics. Vaal Hazak is the only monster that will never appear in the Elder's Recess, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Unless there's like one obscure event that does that, I might be mistaken.
No, I don't think you ever see Vaal Hazak anywhere except for the
Rotten
Veil, with the exception of Black Veil, which we will not cover today. It is a variant, not a subspecies. Which is weird that that's a variant and not a subspecies, but Tobi Kadachi and Puke and Fulgur, they're subs and not variants, but whatever. Anyway, Black Veil will be covered in a different video.
Yeah. More or less, though. Oh, Vaal Hazak is incredibly good at what it does, because it's supposed to be the big bad of the Rotten Veil, the thing that eats everything, the death that all monsters meet. The effluvium. God. The stuff that eventually breaks down every monster. And gives its nutrients back up to the Coral Highlands, actually.
Yep, it becomes fertilizer for the Coral Highlands. And the effluvium is just a bacterium which lives in a symbiotic relationship with Vaal Hazak. So, it's another one of those things, kind of like Zinogre and the Fulgur bugs. It's just a relationship between two monsters to survive and make the best of both worlds there. I love the Rotten Veil, though, because the Rotten Veil is comprised of fucking Dalameter skeletons. Love that. But
all monsters meet their end there, even the elders.
And you can find them. If you hang around in the Rotten Veil enough, you'll watch Legiana bodies drop from the sky. And you can carve them, too. But Vaal Hazak is a very interesting monster, because it's like he's wearing he's wearing corpses as armor, almost. Which is interesting, because that's like there's only a few rare instances of monsters actually using armor. The first most notable of which would be, at least lore-wise, would be Fatalis. And then there's Radaban, who uses a tar to stick bones to its body. Kushala comes to mind, because his whole body is made of armor. So it's really interesting to see these creatures using external coatings as armor more than just their scales and their skin and whatnot.
Yeah. Now let's get on to the mechanic, the effluvium. When the Vaal Hazak, unfortunately, is... I'm forgetting if it's like its main body or if it's its head. I know it's one of the two. But as long as that part is still intact, it will continually have an effluvium like armor and an aura about it. So if you're playing a melee build, God help you unless you can break that quickly.
It's like well, I don't know if it's a part or if that's just because he's an elder. When World come around, they gave the elders more prominent like auras, which they have had auras, but they weren't as bad as in World. But poisoning them usually cuts it off. But it is interesting because Vaal seems to turn on and off with rage mode, whereas like Teostra and Kushalas are usually just always on, unless they're poisoned. But
yeah,
it's very, very interesting to see him using the effluvium though. Like in the cutscene where we first meet him, he's got it spread everywhere and it's all over these Gyros, and then all of a sudden he calls it back and it drains their fucking life force away to the like you watch the life leave one of their eyes in that cutscene, and it goes back to him to fuel his body. So it's very, very sinister and dark and very interesting adaptation. But mechanic wise, it cuts your health. Like, it doesn't just get rid of health or make you bleed or do any weird shit. Like, it legitimately just cuts your health bar off, which is insanity.
No, and let's not even begin to talk about the fact it's not just half. It sets you down to half of the base health bar.
Yeah.
Not just if you were to, say, have a full meal, get the maximum amount of health out of it. No, you don't just get half of that. You get half of the base health bar.
Which is especially...
So is the only way to fix it.
Yeah.
Or to get more health out of it.
And the null berries are like the only way to turn that shit off other than waiting out the timer. But it's even harder because this game makes it almost mandatory to slot level 3 health boost. So even with having level 3 health boost slotted, it's useless when you fight Vaal because he just cuts it to the half of the base HP. It's ugh. Vaal Hazak is just one of the monsters of all time. I will say that. He's definitely one of the monsters of all time. But the only thing I can think of holding him back in terms of like being just that much better is kind of just not only just the fact he maybe visits 4 areas if you get to the point where he'll go up where the Gyros kind of chill out. But he's got limited areas he can go to. He has a limited moveset as well for an elder. He's got a very, very limited moveset. He's got like 4 things that come to mind.
The spam of the effluvium beam.
And that's the other thing is having that's one thing, and it's great that he has that. It's a great thing to give him a niche, unique thing, because we see elder dragons are calamities. They are representations of nature. You have thunders, you have winds, you have fires, but we've never really seen, other than Nakarkos, which that's another one that does the armor shit, but other than Nakarkos, not really a death thing. Like, Nakarkos covers himself in bones, yeah, but Vaal Hazak is literally just death. And it's fucking great. But I think it would be a lot better if he didn't constantly spam the effluvium breath beam attacks like he does. Because if he's not doing that, he's just doing that little slithering, biting attack. And that's basically or a jump. And that's his 3 things. He has almost nothing else. And maybe every now and then a tail swipe if you're on the tail and not being currently, breathed on with his morning breath. But I don't see him coming back
No. He is an incredibly unique monster with an incredibly unique area that fits him very well.
Yeah.
The
And
the introduction of a Vaal Hazak in any area is a terrifying concept because the the whole point of Vaal Hazak is that it is an incredibly rare elder dragon that is only found where it is because of that being the perfect place for the effluvium to thrive.
now Black Veil, I could see being in another area, but we'll talk about Black Veil at a different time because he has a different symbiosis going on there. But yeah, a Vaal Hazak entering a new usually an elder entering any ecosystem is usually a very bad thing because they can destroy ecosystems like nothing. But especially when it comes to a Vaal Hazak, like if a Kushala shows up somewhere, it may stay a while, it may leave at some point. Eventually things will regain and recover. But if a Vaal Hazak shows up somewhere, I don't think it's ever going to recover because of the fact that the effluvium isn't going to want to leave. If they find a spot that's good for them and they can sit there and eat to the heart's content and Vaal Hazak can just sit there and get it and not have to fucking move, then he's never going to move. He's just going to stay there. You could turn the jungle or the forest and hills or in any other, the snowy mountains, everything could just be turned into shit and dust. Like,
I would actually be mistaken. There is one other area where the Vaal Hazak has shown up.
yeah.
Well, two. The Guiding Lands, which, of course, that's where it's going. Everything ends up there.
Yeah, there's a Rotten Vale area there, so.
A little area for Black Veil, yes. But also, Black Veil shows up in the Ancient Forest.
Yeah, but that's Black Veil. That's an entire different. He doesn't use the. It's not the same effluvium. It's a fungal thing more than a bacterial thing. It's a different effluvium that affects him, so he can move around and spread it. Which is why I'm saying he could probably show up in Wilds, but I don't know about the base Vaal Hazak.
No, absolutely not.
And
Vaal Hazak is solely relegated to the Rotten Vale.
Yeah, and I don't even think I would want to see him come back. I mean, he's cool. He's great. It's a great concept. Cool dragon. But the dragon didn't come back in Rise. And, I mean, he's just kind of... Once Iceborne came out, he kind of became irrelevant because he was fantastic for armor. Before Iceborne came out, you could make immortality builds. Like, straight up become unkillable.
Absolutely.
And now it's just like, he's there. Okay.
He had a really good purpose, but it was taken away from him.
Yes. A lot of monsters suffered that fate when Iceborne came out. But, yeah, I don't think I'd want to see him come back into Wilds because there's just like, there's not really a place for him in Wilds.
As of yet.
It's just, from what we've seen, yeah, as of right now, there's no place for a Vaal Hazak. There's no need for a Vaal Hazak. It's...
Regardless of what happens, the Elders will still eventually go back to the Rotten Vale.
Yeah.
The Elders Crossing happens for a reason.
Right. But it's also very interesting that we only have one Vaal Hazak that we know of. Like, one Vaal Hazak can do all that, can basically be an entire decomposition ecosystem. Which is insane to think about.
It's a terrifying level of power that I don't think people respect enough.
Because, like, again, Elder Dragons are nothing to fuck. Like, Elder Dragons can be taken down nowadays like that. You can easily hunt Elders. It's not as hard as it once was. It's not a big deal anymore, really. But, I mean, certain ones, if they're ramped up with Tempered, Arch-Tempered, whatever the fuck, Risen. But those are just the same monster, just with a higher health pool and more damage. It's not, but they are still dangers to the world at large. Like, a lot of people understand Elder Dragons aren't even just dragons. They are any monster that the guild cannot properly give a classification to because they do not understand what the thing they're looking at is or how it's doing what it's doing. With a Rathalos, it breathes a fireball. Okay, well, how's it do that? Well, it's probably got some internal organs that, store some kind of flammable liquid, and it probably sparks it off with its teeth, or it just has the flame sac in it. Just produces fire and just pop, there's fire. But when it comes to Elder Dragons, they're like, you're looking at Kirin just summon lightning from the fucking sky using his horn. How do you classify that, And seeing Vaal Hazak control an entire species of bacterium and force it to drain the life out of another living being in a mere instant, and then all of a sudden he just gets to eat that life force. Like, that's insanity.
Let's not forget the fact that it revives those Gyros as well.
Yeah, it can literally just make an army. It's a necromancer. Vaal Hazak it's a lich. It's a lich dragon. Like, well, I don't know. We've never seen one come back from the dead itself, but I mean, imagine a Vaal Hazak shows up into the Rotten Vale and finds the Vaal Hazak we kill. Who's to say it couldn't raise it as one of its own? Like, we don't know the limitations of what it can and can't raise from the dead. Which is crazy when you think about...
A terrifying thought.
But I believe it is time that we give our big juicy boy his big juicy ranking.
I'm going to say this outright. I'd say he deserves an A tier solely because the job he does is done well. Even if his equipment was rendered obsolete by Iceborne, he still did a really good job and deserves that respect.
Absolutely. I wasn't going to go any lower than A myself. I'm like, Vaal Hazak is not only a unique creature, but just the sheer fact that he is as powerful as he is, enough to where it does feel like you're really having to push your limits in this fight, because this thing can stand there and cut your fucking health bar in half if you're not careful. And then it's just like, oh, did you want to fight me down here? Guess what? The water's made of acid. Like, guess what? I've got an army I can just raise from the dead. I got minions. That's another thing. I think this might be the only elder I can think of off the top of my head that has minions.
Actually, yeah. No, you would be correct. I don't think there are many, if at all, that have, like, minions that aren't actively trying to run from it.
Like, normally when you enter any area, there's an elder in, everything's gone. All life is hiding or run away or dead. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's going to have to be an A tier as well. Just given its sheer, like, this, just everything this thing is, and everything it does, and everything it represents, it's a very, very fun fight. It's very rewarding, and it's a very good monster. Design-wise, mechanically-wise, it just needs a more varied moveset. And I think that might be the only thing for me personally that keeps it out of S tier, is the moveset. It's so limited. But in A tier, at the tail end, we've got Malfestio, then the Anjanaths, then Deviljho and Lagiacrus up at the top.
I would say above Anjanath.
Above Anjanath, alright. So for the time being, we'll put him right in front.
Again, they do their jobs really well, but I don't think that they can top the top contenders of A tier.
No. Deviljho and Lagiacrus, no, not a chance. Can Vaal Hazak stand to the likes of Deviljho or Lagiacrus in terms of just what this whole shindig's about? But by God, he does deserve his place above Anjanath and Malfestio for sure. Because just like Malfestio, he's got his own unique shit. But the difference between him and Malfestio is Malfestio got ranked where he's at because his uniqueness is only for him and just him alone. But Vaal Hazak has this thing that's unique to him and the environment around him. He can manipulate and control this this environmental thing, this bacteria. You know, it's not like a special attack like Malfestio has, where he can, you know, hypnotize you to sleep, or he can invert your controller. It's Vaal Hazak. The environment around you is constantly full of effluvium and trying to kill you, and then when you get to him, it's like, oh, now it can really fucking kill me because he can just fucking inflict it on me and take my health bar away. So yeah, I think we're gonna be happy with Vaal Hazak being the 3rd place of A tier for the time being. And with that, we wrap up another wonderful, wonderful segment of Friday, Monster Hunter Friday, which we will be doing back in order, hopefully, because my computer's fixed. And we've got Seregios, 4th place of S tier. And now we've got Vaal Hazak, 3rd place of A tier. So, thanks everybody for watching the video. Go check out the Patreon. It's linked in the description as always, if anybody even makes it this far in any of my videos to hear that. Go check out the rest of the channel. Go check out Mystical Portal Emporium and everything else in between. Seth, you got any final closing words?
No, summed it up pretty well.
Let's do it then. Everybody, goodbye everybody.
Bye-bye.